have living children, we talk about those children.
Yeah.
We deserve the right to talk about the children that are not here. I have a rainbow daughter who will be 5 this summer, so it's been about 7 years since my loss.
I had a stillbirth in May of 2016 at 27 weeks pregnant.
I had a miscarriage a few years ago. I was married, and I was fairly newly pregnant, and it turned my world kind of upside down, but it also brought a lot of clarity.
I miscarried at 19, so 4 years ago now almost. It definitely turned my world upside down and brought a lot of clarity long term.
We had 2 children. I had no problems with the first 2 pregnancies, and then we had 2 miscarriages that were both early. I felt like there was just no support for that process.
The one thing for me is I just felt so alone because I didn't know anyone else who had been through what I had.
Over the last 3 years, it's caused me to question myself and my actions and really discover who I am.
This big pain can open us up to a really big amount of joy and moving forward in our lives.
I had a lot of guilt that I carried because people looked at me like I should be thankful that I had 2 kids already and that I should just be happy and be able to move on, and if we weren't able to have another baby, then that would be okay. But that wasn't our story. It takes time, and there are steps, and some days it'll hit you and other days you'll feel okay. 5, 6 years later, I can look back and say that they really were blessings in our life because it changed our hearts. Love has no timeline. It doesn't matter where you are in your journey or how far along you are. It's a pregnancy and it's a loss.
All of the emotions that we feel are the same. It doesn't matter if it was 6 weeks, if it was 26 weeks, if it was 36 weeks.
Yeah.
The emotions and the healing process is all the same.
As soon as you take that pregnancy test, as soon as you get that positive, you just immediately flash forward to having that baby in your arms. What is that love going to feel like?
You are living with trauma. And until we start naming pregnancy and infant loss as trauma, because it is, we're going to be so disconnected. We're not even going to realize how our body's responding to it.
I believe that the way that we change the conversation around pregnancy and infant loss is to speak our truth. How is anybody supposed to know the impact of pregnancy and infant loss if when we are being asked how we're doing, we reply we're fine? It's not our fault that this happened to us, but in some way it's our responsibility in how we want the world to know the impact of the loss in our lives.
And the loss has a ripple effect. In our case, it did. It affected my children because they didn't understand why mommy was sad and why mommy was crying. And it affected my relationship with my husband. If you are in this with a spouse, give them some grace. They don't know how to facilitate it any more than you do.
When we aren't speaking about it, when we're silencing ourselves, that is how the shame and the stigma around pregnancy and infant loss grows.
A loss is very personal and it's emotional, and it's so hard to wrap your head around it and your heart around it. You're doing yourself a disservice not talking about it, because you never know the support that can come from opening up. You're not alone and you don't have to be alone.
It's healing, it's an ongoing process, and there is no end to the process. I think a lot of people think, well, when I get 7 years away from it, or 10 years or 20 years, or if I have my rainbow baby, then bam, everything's gonna be...
Then it'll be over it.
Yeah, it'll be over
true.
it, and it's not true. It ebbs and flows just like life does, and there's gonna be moments where you're gonna be able to speak your truth to everybody, and you're gonna be comfortable, and then the very next day, something could happen that puts you right back there. We're stronger together. Yeah, we don't have to do this alone. We shouldn't. It takes a village to raise a griever.
I'm here to say that there is life after, and it's a beautiful thing.